Hello friends. So welcome to this lecture on Azure Monitor. So in this section we'll discuss about the strength and security using Azure Monitor and using Security Center. So we'll have the topics related to Azure Security Center overview, security policies, recommendation alerts, and just-in-time access in the upcoming lectures. But in this lecture, we'll discuss about what is Azure Monitor because this is the tool or a service with the help of which we'll be able to get insights and we'll be able to correlate a number of things within the Azure infrastructure. So before digging into the Azure Monitor, first of all, like any service, we need to understand why we need this Azure Monitor. See, if you have worked with the typical Windows system or with any of the OS, there is always a requirement or a monitoring solution that should include some kind of a performance metrics or a log collection should be there, right? So this seems to be like you can say ordinary goal, but think from a compliance perspective, from a troubleshooting perspective, from a security perspective, there is always a requirement of such monitoring tool. So in that case, if you'll ask a question that okay, in case of Azure Management Service, which is a good service to use, then the answer is that okay, we should use the Azure Monitor because it is the service which will help us to provide various kind of logs from different resources. So we'll dig much deeper into that okay, what is Azure Monitor? So like I said, Azure Monitor is a Microsoft Azure built-in platform monitoring service that it collects performance metrics, activity logs, diagnostics logs from Azure resources and processed in order to achieve the various goals. And all the information which basically it collects, they are processed to achieve the various goals. So we'll discuss that, okay, what are the various goals? So before that, we need to understand certain fact. We all know that, okay, within the Azure infrastructure, there are certain compute resources, VMs we use and non-compute resources like storage accounts and there are other examples as well which we use within the Azure infrastructure. So on the basis of that, if you'll see, there are different kind of logs, like we have activity logs in both compute and non-compute, then we have resource logs, and then we have the application logs if we have on the top of that. So if you'll see any of the information we received from the guest OS like Windows or any of OS is there, so all that information will be received from the resource logs only. So we'll try to understand first one by one activity log, resource logs, or application logs. So one thing I want to, just clarify is that okay, earlier the resource logs they were called as the diagnostics logs. So just bear in mind that okay, this is a kind of a name change which is there. So earlier the similar resource logs we call it as diagnostics logs. So we'll study with the new name only. Okay, so this is the diagram which is just for a reference. So the first one is the activity log, which will try to understand that okay, what exactly the activity log is. So activity log, basically when we say in case of Azure, they basically provide uh, you can say insights into the subscription level events that have happened in Azure. And it basically provides a wide range of data from your Azure Resource Manager to service health events. So it provides a different kind of data or a range of data when we talk about the activity logs. So one thing we need to understand that when we talk about the activity logs, here we are talking about the activities which are happened at the subscription level, or we can say that the management plane. And resource is the activities which are happened within the on the data plane, means within a resource, within a let's say within a certain service has certain happened, right? What happened within a SQL server, all those things will dig deep into that. So we'll come to this later on. So first of all, what is activity log? Like I discussed, provides insights into the subscription level events that have happened in Azure. So if I'll talk about, there are a number of events like virtual machine, a new virtual machine has been created or deleted a security group. These are the kind of activity logs. And when we talk about the resource health events, like the various information, let's say, that the particular resource is available, unavailable, degraded, and similarly, in activity logs, you'll be able to get information about the policies which are applied within the Azure Security Center, like what is the effect of policy, deny, audit, all those things. You'll be able to see information related to the auto scaling events, like the machine, which is a new machine has been built up, or uh, extra machine has been terminated. So all those events you'll be able to get within the activity logs. Now we have the resource logs. See, the resource logs, they basically provide information that were performed within the Azure resource. When we say that is the data plane, for example, you can say getting a secret from from a key vault or making a request to a particular SQL database, right? So in this case, the content of resource logs varies from different Azure services and resource types. And like I said, resource logs were previously referred as diagnostics logs. And now the other type of logs we have is for the application web apps which we use. See, this could be the different kind of messages generated by your web framework you choose from, or your application code directly using the your standard login pattern or any of the language which is being used. So, the message could be like a critical warning is there, error, info, debug, trace status, or all these information you'll be able to get within the application logs, IS logs, you'll be able to get the information from. So these are the different kind of logs we have within the Azure infrastructure. Now, if you'll see, these are the resource, these are the logs we get it from the Azure Monitor. Now, what is the next step? Now we have the data. Now the next action is also what we can do. Like the consumption is like we can do a visualization, alerting, routing. We'll see in a different detail in the next slide. So what is Azure Monitor? Like enables the core component of Azure, including metrics, activity logs, diagnostics logs that are the base level reporting metrics for most Azure assets. Now, if you'll see on the left hand side, we'll discuss in the metric portion in but more detail in the upcoming lectures. So don't worry about that. So in this diagram, you'll see within Azure Monitor, you get the logs from application, operating system, Azure resources, Azure subscription, Azure tenant for the AD logs, and then from the custom sources. So on the right, there are different functions, right, which Azure Monitor performs with the data that is collected, such as analysis, alerting, and if you want to stream into some different system. See, overall goal when we study about Azure Monitor from a security point of view, we need to understand that Azure Monitor, which has further different kind of metrics and logs, it helps you to understand how your application which are within the Azure, how they are performing, and proactively identify issues if any of the issue is affecting them, or that the resources which they are depend on. And with the help of Azure Monitor, as a security engineer or as an architect, and it will help you to basically correlate infrastructure issues with Azure Monitor for VMs or for your Azure Monitor for containers. And with the log analytics, basically you'll be able to drill down into the monitoring data for troubleshooting and deep analysis. See, in the last slide, we discussed that, okay, what we can do. So here we are discussing, just sorry for the interruption. Yeah. So in this slide, we are doing what we can do with the data which is collected. Like we discussed with the log analytics, you can drill down into the monitoring data for troubleshooting and deep dive analytics. You can set out different alerts if, let's say, if that a particular VM is under attack or something like that. Auto scaling events, you can you know s- s- respond depending on the auto scale events which have happened, and alerts which you have sent that, okay, somebody should be notified if there is an authorized activity to some admin account. So all those things you'll be able to do with that. You can similarly use the logic apps that, okay, if something has happened, send a ticket, or you know b- if, let's say, security group has been deleted, and then recreate that security group or logic app function to create a just-in-time access, and then export API. Similarly, we can send the events to you can use it for the Power BI to have analysis dashboards, and similarly you can send it to third-party tools like uh, to the Splunk via the Event Hub. So this is the basic overall you can say benefit of Azure Monitor, with the help of which you'll be able to correlate. You can set alerts for any performance issues or security related events. So this is it in this lecture. In this lecture, we discussed what are the different type of logs we have, and then Azure Monitor collect these logs, and then these are the different activities we can choose, like respond and then analyze and then integrate with the other services. So this is it in this lecture. Thank you for watching this lecture. Meet you in the next lecture. Thank you.